So you've been on the market for 30 days, 45, then 60, and you're asking yourself, why aren't homes selling in Colorado Springs? Some people have made their mind up that the market is just bad, or that things are crashing, or it's not like it used to be. The truth of the matter is, the problem probably is not your house. It's just that we're in a different market than we were in 18 months ago. My name is Tyrone Moore. I'm a real estate agent here in Colorado Springs with the Johnson team, and I want to dive into what's going on with the market today in 2026 of June. I'm going to throw some numbers on the screen so you can kind of see here, but what I want to touch on strictly is just inventory. Like anything in sales, it is a supply and it is a demand, and a lot of people are clinging on to a market from 2022 and even some of 2023 where things were selling a lot quicker. The product that was being put out or represented wasn't always great. The pictures didn't look great. Curb appeal wasn't great, but things sold very quickly because we had a very low amount of supply and really high demand. But if we take a step further and we actually look at pre-COVID numbers, what you might see is that we're just getting back into a normal market, and recency bias may have broke our brain a little bit and made us think that it was very normal for a house to fly off the shelf. Now the key here is that if you're going to put your home on the market, the things that mattered before to get it sold still matter. It just didn't feel like it when we had very low inventory. So something you want to think about is that you have to wrap your mind around the prices right now and not what your neighbor sold for a few years back, or maybe even 6 months ago, because the market is constantly changing and constantly shifting. So look at your current competition. Don't look at what things have sold for. Look at what is active on the market to see how you're competing against people in your area. Doing these things will give you a really realistic idea of, hey, is my home overpriced? Am I expecting too much? Is the market shifting and I haven't noticed yet? But these are things that you want to do just so you have surety, and every seller is going to be different. Some sellers I talk to, they would much rather maximize price and they're okay with waiting, while others are like, hey, I want to sell fast. So think about what works best for you, think about what you need whenever you are selling, and then make a decision based on that. So number one, overpricing is just not a strategy anymore. You can't overprice and expect for buyers to go onto the market and see the thousands of homes and then say, you know what, let me go for this one, when I can get one down the street that may check more boxes or check similar boxes, and they're getting it for a better price. The days of being able to overprice for a little bit to see what you might get is long behind us. Now this is more geared towards sellers right now, but something that I want to put in your mind is that the buyers that are out right now, they have a lot of options. So making yourself the obvious choice is going to be the name of the game. And that can be done with condition, or it can be done with price, and of course the way it's presented to the market. So you got to keep these things in mind, and like I mentioned before, overpricing is not an option anymore, but you want to make sure that you come on with a price that represents a lot of security and safety for the buyers, but also getting what you need. Fair pricing makes a lot more sense today than obviously it did before. And the big takeaway from all of this is that when you overprice your home, it becomes invisible in a market that has a lot of homes right now. And I'm in the market day in and day out, so it's easy to hear me say this, but there's a lot of numbers that back it up. If you look at just May of 2026, we had an average days on market right at around 43 days. And the homes that were still sitting, they generally were overpriced, and you can go back and you can look at the data and just peel back the layers. Now, a lot of people think that the buyer pool has just shrunk and people aren't coming to Colorado like they used to, but the data doesn't really represent that either. It really just shows that the whole supply and demand thing might be a little out of whack and we're getting back to normal. So instead of things going as quick as they used to, on a Friday and they have multiple offers that weekend, things are sitting a little bit longer. And some of that might be the rising costs. Home prices haven't went up, but things have changed obviously overseas with interest rates, and there's a little bit of unsurety for buyers. So with that being said, if there's a little bit of unsurety for buyers, buying a home where they're going to feel a lot of security may not be at the top of their list, especially if it feels like the prices are way higher than they need to be. In general, as far as buyers go, things have kind of cooled off as far as interest rates. I think most buyers have just gotten used to the fact that the prices are what they are. Now, something also to note with rising inventory is that buyers aren't panicking like they did. During COVID, buyers had to take whatever they could get, even though it was overpriced, and it put them in a bad position for those few years when they were buying homes. Buyers aren't panicking now. They have a little bit more leverage, and they can go get a home that they love and that they want, and they can take their time choosing it. But it also means that they're not going to overpay for a home, and on top of not overpaying, they're also going to see who's going to get them the best deal. So concessions have become very common, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. So if you are a seller, you have to wrap your mind around the fact that you may have to help a buyer with closing costs. And that's not to say that your home isn't worth what you want to list it at, but it is saying that you got to look at your current competition and see if you put it on the market at a certain price and you're not offering concession and your neighbor might be, they may be the obvious choice and yours would not be. Now, I do want to touch on what this means for buyers. For buyers, like I mentioned before, this means you can take your time, you can get a better deal, and the market is just becoming a healthier market as opposed to being lopsided to buyers or lopsided to sellers. I do have a guide to help you if you're coming to Colorado Springs. My email and my phone, it's on the screen. Shoot me a text, give me a call, whatever works for you, and I can shoot that over to you so you get an idea of what it looks like in each neck of the woods that you might be looking at. So you can get an idea of what things look at depending on the area that you're going to. Now, for buyers, I also want to touch on the fact that prices have stayed pretty steady. They're not really rising, but they also have not went down. But with rising inventory and just a lot of options on the market, this puts you in a really good place to negotiate, gives you time, and you can look at what really makes sense for you. So what I do when I'm talking to buyers is I caution them that the list price is a marketing tool. It's not always the same price. So see what works for you and what's going to make the most sense. Again, my name is Tyrone Moore. I'm with the Johnson team here in Colorado Springs. And if you are thinking about buying or selling here in Colorado Springs, my number is on the screen, my email as well. Reach out to me if you have any questions.